Hello. So in this video, we'll try to understand the concept of function overloading in C++, which is again a compile time polymorphism concept. So if you notice, I've written already a logic over here, and what I've done is I've created 5 different instances of the same function. So the concept of function overloading is the name of the function remains the same, but in terms of the parameters, we can make slight variations and achieve function overloading. So the same function name, but different in terms of the parameters helps us achieve function overloading. So if you notice the first instance of the function, I have two parameters, value 1 and value 2 of the type integer. Now, if you look at the second instance, here also there are two parameters, but the data type here it's different. So I am uh, accepting two string parameters over here. So the difference between the first instance and the second instance is in terms of the data type of the parameters. Now, if you move on to the third instance here, so in terms of the data type, the first instance and the third instance is the same, because even in the first instance it's the integer, and even in the third instance it's the integer. But the difference is in terms of the number of parameters. So in the first instance it is two parameters, and in the third instance it is three parameters. So this is another way of varying the parameters. And now, if you move on to the fourth function here, the first parameter is of the type integer, and the second parameter is of the type string. And now if you notice the fifth instance over here, even in the fifth instance, there is a combination of integer and string, but the order of the parameters. So in the fourth instance, it is integer first, then string, but in the fifth instance, it is the string first and then the integer. So this is another way of varying the parameters in terms of achieving function overloading. So if we can recall, then three different ways, one in terms of the data type, the second in terms of the number of parameters, and third in terms of the order of parameters. So three different ways in order to vary the parameters and achieve function overloading. So now let's go ahead and invoke these functions and observe what happens. So for one of the functions, I will pass two integers, and the second instance was about two strings. So what I'll do is I will pass two strings here, and then I think the third one was about three different integers, and the fourth instance is about an integer followed by a string, and then the fifth instance is about a string followed by an integer. So you notice that there is no errors over here, so I'll go ahead and compile this, and let me execute. So if you notice, it is the first instance, second instance, third instance, fourth instance, and fifth instance. So all the different variants of the same function have been invoked just by varying the parameters over here. So this is the concept of function overloading. And now what I'll do is I'll copy this particular function over here, and I will paste it here. So if you notice, and okay, let's make this as the um, sixth instance, okay? But if you notice, between the fifth instance and the sixth instance, there is no difference at all. I mean, the function name is the same, the data types are the same, the order of data types are the same, the order of parameters is the same, and the number of parameters is also the same. So there is no difference at all in terms of the fifth instance and the sixth instance. Of course, in terms of the print statement over here, we have a difference, but in terms of the parameters or the function name, there is no difference at all. So let's try and find out what happens if we use this approach. So let me go back and compile once again the same code. And now if you notice that we already have an error, so which says that redefinition of the function, and it's previously defined. Okay, so uh, you have to understand that you cannot have the same function in terms of the function name and the parameters repeated twice, but by making slight variations in the parameters, by keeping the function name same, but the data type of the parameters or the number of parameters or the order of parameters, we can achieve function overloading by varying them. So this is the concept of function overloading. I hope it helps. Share your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you.